Eagles win Super Bowl 59, 40-22. Do not let this score, the final score, fool you. This game wasn't even close. Kansas City scored a couple of touchdowns in garbage time, but this game was way out of reach by the end of the third quarter. Uh, Philadelphia was at times it looked like Kansas City didn't belong on the same field as Philadelphia. Philadelphia sacked Patrick Mahomes 7 times. Patrick Mahomes threw 2 picks, including the pick six. Philly was just so dominant. When I say they were just dominant on defense, just rushing Patrick Mahomes, they just made Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable just throughout the game. And he just wasn't able to get off his offense throughout the game. Now, like I said before, they scored garbage points. The game was out of reach. They brought Pickett in basically to finish the game off because they knew the game was out of reach. And it was just a great performance. Now, they haven't announced who's going to be the Super Bowl MVP. I'm going to assume that it's going to be Jalen Hurts. And shout out to Jalen Hurts, because keep in mind, Jalen Hurts got benched in the national championship game. And there was a question about could he, play quarterback on a professional level and all this stuff. But he proved that he could lead a team to the Super Bowl, and he led that team to the Super Bowl along with that stellar Philly defense. So, shout out to my boy, YSM Media. That's my guy out of Philly. So, he going live, but it was just an awesome game. So now what happens with the Chiefs? What happens with Travis Kelce? And thank you, NFL, for not showing Taylor Swift every time something happened. But then again, pretty much nothing didn't happen. The key to winning this game is what I said, that Philly needed to control the clock. And that's what they did. They controlled the clock for pretty much most of the game, in every quarter. Ball control and the clock was pivotal to Philly dominant victory. And that's what they did. So now Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift can go somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Kelce dumps Taylor Swift and all of a sudden becomes a wigger again, all of a sudden. Like I said before, it was good to enjoy this Super Bowl without them showing Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift isn't a football player, and it got ridiculous and it got to the point where people were just rooting against the Chiefs. They became the NFL bad guys. So now Patrick Mahomes, he loses a Super Bowl by a wide margin. I'm saying they got destroyed. I knew if they called a fair game that the Chiefs didn't have a chance. I knew the Chiefs didn't have a chance if they called this game fair, and they called a BS play early in the game that wasn't a pass interference, and then we was like, here we go. But they pretty much called a fair game. To be honest with you, I'm keeping it 100. Kansas City, to me, and I said this before, and I stand on it. Kansas City was one of the most fraudulent 15-2 teams that I'd ever saw. I didn't think they was that good. I thought by the luck of the draw that they managed to find a way to get to the Super Bowl. I just thought they were just very lucky. And I knew if the refs called this game right down the middle that the Chiefs wasn't going to beat the Eagles. The Eagles had the number one defense in the league. Now, Saquon Barkley, he was irrelevant. Nah, listen, man, this is my channel, okay? Don't tell me what to say on my channel, dude. Don't tell me what to say on my channel, all right? I ain't finna watch what I say because a Chief fan is on here. So do not, and I repeat, do not tell me how to talk on my channel. And I mean it. First, only warning. Now, as I was saying, if you look at the Chiefs throughout the season, they were just getting lucky game after game. There were just a few games that they had no business winning, and they ended up winning. And then you just saw it. I saw them in the playoffs. I was just like, okay, I just never was impressed with them. Offense was mediocre. Defense was good because they did a great job of, containing Barkley. Did a great job. They really did. They made him irrelevant in the game. But the problem was they couldn't do nothing with the Eagles defense. They didn't even blitz. They didn't even blitz Patrick Mahomes. They didn't even blitz Patrick Mahomes. That's what made the Eagles defense so potent. They wasn't even blitzing the dude. They didn't even they front four was just they just was that good. And then not to mention that offensive line they had was like the Great Wall of China. They average offensive lineman was like 6'6" and over 300 pounds. So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know who's coming back. But they're good enough to repeat. Yeah, that was great. So, you know what, you guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. So now the Eagles deciding to sit Barkley for that last game and not let him go for the record. The slate is wiped clean, null and void, because they got the overall job done. So now they got that overall. They got man for real. So they got the job done. The mission was to get to the Super Bowl and win it. So now the slate is wiped clean. We don't have to question the coach. Okay, he knows more than we do. But at the end of the day, it would have been nice for him to go for the record. I still think they would have ended up winning the Super Bowl anyway. But at the end of the day, we'll never know because they completed the overall task. The overall task was to get to the Super Bowl and win. They won the Super Bowl, and they won it in sensational fashion. They curb stomped. They curb stomped the Chiefs. I'm talking about they curb stomped them. Like I said before, this game wasn't even close. Those 22 points they scored was in garbage time when the game was out of hand. And I give Patrick Mahomes credit; he played until the end, but do not be fooled. That game was way out of hand by the time the 2 minute. I mean, for real. Yeah, pity points. Wasn't that? Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And it's good to see. Hey, and it's good to see a brother from Houston win the Super Bowl because Jalen Hurts is from Houston. I got a lot of friends and family in Houston, so shout out to Houston. So I got a lot of family out there, but yeah, good look for him. So it's a good story for Jalen Hurts because, like I said, I remember the national championship game. He got benched, and the funny thing was, Mike Tomlin wanted the Pittsburgh Steelers to draft Jalen Hurts to be the heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger, and Pittsburgh elected not to draft him. And then the Eagles ended up getting him. Well, I mean, I think now it's safe to say we don't have to use the terminology black quarterback anymore because at the end of the day, we proved that we can win Super Bowls. We proved that we can win defenses. I mean, that we can read defenses. We proved that we can call plays. We understand how to watch film. We understand all that stuff because at the end of the day, there was this stigma that black men wasn't smart enough to understand how to be a quarterback. Listen, if Terry Bradshaw can win 4 Super Bowls, and Terry Bradshaw is dumb as rocks. Terry Bradshaw he is country bumpkin dumb. So if he can win 4 Super Bowls, please. And keep in mind, Terry Bradshaw got benched before. So I know they going crazy in Philly. I know. Shout out to Philly, man. Shout out to Philly. I done been to Philly quite a few times. Love the city of Philadelphia. You know, at the end of the day, they earned it. This probably their sweetest Super Bowl win because basically they stopped history. Basically, they halted Patrick Mahomes from being the first quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. They should, and they got a lot of Jalen's on their team. Jalen Carter, I mean, and shout out to the GM too. He got good taste and he got good taste in shoes because I saw a promo where they was just doing a segment where they were just talking about the GM he had on the Jordan 1 Mocha. So shout out to the GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. But this was a great season for them. They got the job done. They got the job done. I'm looking forward to this rivalry with the Eagles and I almost said, the Commanders. Yeah, the defense was sensational. You can make an argument that they about to do the MVP. You can make an argument that Sweat is the MVP, but they probably gonna give it to Jalen Hurts. They probably gonna give it to Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts played sensational too. Except for that horrible, ill-advised interception that he threw, he played a sensational game, and he had a quarterback rating of well over 100. So I wouldn't have a problem if it's Jalen Hurts, but it's probably going to be Jalen Hurts. They just don't like giving Super Bowl MVPs to defensive players. Yep, Jalen Hurts. He's the Super Bowl MVP. They haven't announced it, but I think it's going to be Hurts. But I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts. He's talking to Terry Bradshaw. Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, it's official. Jalen Hurts is the Super Bowl MVP. So there you have it. But anyway, you guys, just wanted to do a quick Super Bowl post game show. So I'm about to eat, then get ready for work in the morning, go to sleep. But yeah, shout out to Jalen Hurts, Houston stand up. There you have it. It's your boy Town. I'm out.